5 Palestinian journalists have been killed in Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. The journalists were reportedly sleeping in a TV broadcast van when they were killed. The Israeli Defence Force has dismissed claims it targeted journalists, saying it attacked a vehicle with Islamic Jihad militants inside. Dr. Lana Tatur is a lecturer with the School of Social Sciences at the University of New South Wales and an expert on Middle East politics, and she joins us now from Sydney. Thank you so much for your time. First off, I just wanted to start off with your reaction to the news today of these 5 Palestinian journalists killed.
Thank you for having me. The news are horrifying. 5 journalists killed in an Israeli airstrike, and they join another 150 other journalists that were killed by Israel since the beginning of this genocide in Gaza. We are speaking about a systematic targeted killing of journalists. You don't simply kill by mistake over 150 journalists. Israel is engaged in a deliberate campaign that targets journalists in Gaza. It also forbids foreign journalists from entering Gaza. Israel's policy in terms of free press shows that the main goal is to keep Gaza off the attention of journalists. And Palestinian journalists in Gaza have been working tirelessly day and night, risking their lives, being killed one after the other, not seeing their families for months on end in order to do their job, to document the situation on the ground in Gaza. And unfortunately, the killing of journalists in Gaza, which is now one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous location in the world for journalists, is being ignored, is being normalized instead of triggering the outrage that this situation deserves.
So the IDF says that these were terrorists from the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group. Do you think that the IDF is now classifying journalists who are affiliated with militant groups as legitimate targets?
A couple of issues on that. Israel has been classifying every civilian in Gaza, including journalists, as terrorists. Every person in Gaza is a target, including journalists. The second point is that the IDF and Israel is a country engaged in war crimes. There is the International Criminal Court has issued warrant arrests to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and to former Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant. This is a country that is on trial for genocide. I would take anything that comes straight from the IDF spokesperson at face. I would be very skeptical of any information that comes. In addition, Israel has provided no evidence whatsoever to back up its claims. Israel, again, has been engaged in systematic targeting of journalists, of medical teams. In the last 48 hours, 5 medical professionals have been targeted and killed by Israel in north of Gaza. So I would take anything that comes from a country who's facing a trial on genocide and whose prime minister is wanted for war crimes with a pinch of salt. And I call journalists to be cautious and to do their job and check whether Israel's claims are backed by evidence and to verify anything that comes out of Israeli spokesperson.
Yeah, just on that point, I mean, you're right. You point out that these were five of many. The Palestinian Journalists Syndicate saying 195 journalists have been killed in the Israel-Hamas war so far. Journalists do play such a vital role in times of war. So how significant is this problem of foreign media not being allowed to freely enter Gaza? I mean, it makes it impossible for outlets to independently verify so many of these claims that we're hearing.
I think you need to hold Israel accountable for the fact that foreign journalists are not allowed to enter Gaza. And then Western media has the duty to not repeat Israeli claims on face value, but to actually engage in serious journalism and to fact check things on the ground. Palestinian journalists have been heroes in documenting, and we know that the news that the work that they have been doing is a reliable work and it's trustworthy work and it has been verified by numerous sources, but it is really the job of foreign media and especially Western media to hold Israel into account to the fact that it's not allowing journalists in, and also to do the job of not repeating Israel talking points because it is actually damaging, and sometimes it's causing, not sometimes, often it is causing a serious harm to the people on the ground, to the well-being of people. And it is time to show solidarity with the journalists, with the Palestinian journalists in Gaza who are paying a price to, carry the duty of journalism. We owe them a great depth of gratitude as they document one of the worst atrocities committed in modern history.
Members of the press have traditionally been protected in times of war. There are international laws in place designed to guarantee their safety. I mean, what does this conflict say about the rules of engagement? Is this what the media, especially the media in the Middle East, should be expecting now?
This is the situation on the ground, and it's important to say this is not just a situation that happens in itself. This is a situation that is being produced by Israel. Israel is the one targeting journalists. It is the one limiting journalist access to Gaza. It is the one that is putting journalists at risk. It is the one that is every second day threatening to outlaw Al Jazeera, which is one of the key outlets, if not the only outlets on the ground in Gaza, covering the situation daily. It has targeted their journalists and labeled them as terrorists as well. So this is not just a situation that is happening in the Middle East. There is an agent here that is producing this situation, and that agent is Israel. Israel is the one that is not protecting freedom of press. It is the one that is a threat to journalists. So there is an address to this situation, and Israel has been acting with total impunity. This is why we keep seeing the targeting of journalists time and again. The targeting of journalists didn't start in October 2023, but it certainly escalated since October. And the impunity with which Israel is acting, the fact that there is no accountability, is what is creating this situation as we see it. And we need to be careful not to normalize this situation. We have an international order, there is international law. We can hold countries accountable precisely to prevent these situations from happening. And so, always when we talk about what is the situation, we need to understand how the situation is being produced, who is producing the situation. Israel has the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, has already in January said that Israel is plausibly committing, committing genocide and issued a series of provisional measures which have not been met. So this lack of accountability that we are seeing, it is precisely the situation that is producing this constant tragedy that we are seeing. This is a man-made tragedy. And accountability here is a significant issue that needs to be addressed if we want to really prevent this from happening.